My parents told me recently that my little sister Megan was a mistake. I think they actually said wonderful surprise or whatever, but I knew what they meant. And not the kind of mistake that happened 12 years after I was born, but Megan was born just 12 months after I was born, which is way grosser, and I try not to think about it. And there's this picture I remember of my mom when we were really young, and she has me on one hip, and she has my sister somehow on the other hip, and I asked her, Mom, what was it like with two kids that were so young? It must have been really hard. And she said, no, it was easy because you guys just entertained each other all the time. And that's really been the case my whole life. Ever since I can remember, my little sister has been my best friend. But I've always still tried to be the hulking, intimidating older brother that I clearly am. In high school, we didn't necessarily run the same social circles, but we were really close. We had some differences. She was really smart and tried hard in school. We had a lot of similarities, though. We were both really into music. We went to this really big high school in Southern California. It was like 3,000 people, and she was the first chair flute in the orchestra. She was really competitive. She played beautifully. I used to love to go see her perform. My musical contribution was I was the rhythm guitarist in an awesome emo band called Saving April. Are there still some Saving April fans in the crowd? So our songs are still on MySpace, if you're still wondering. It's myspace.com/x, saving X, April X, to show how hardcore we were. And I had just the standard emo kid outfit for the time. I had the long, swooping hair, and I had the tight band t-shirt, and I had the skin-tight jeans. They were women's size 6, which worked perfect because that's the same size jeans that Megan wore. So we got to share clothes and go shopping together and do all sorts of fun stuff like that. And Megan used to always come to my shows, and she was super supportive, hanging out with my friends and everything like that. I would never let any of my friends date her, though, because, of course, she's my little sister. But retrospectively, maybe I should have, because a lot of the guys that she did end up dating were huge dicks. I remember this kid, Adam, that asked her to the junior prom, and I was not no relation. He was this short kid with a Napoleon complex, and I just hated this kid. So I wanted to let him know, and I don't think it's an uncommon thing to threaten your little sister's prom date, but I think doing it wearing a pair of her pants is something that's pretty unique to Megan. So I see the kid at lunch, I march up to him in my dashboard confessional t-shirt, and I say, Adam, you realize who you're taking to the prom, right? And he looked up at me like, yeah, your sister. It was no big deal to him, and I was like, you're damn right. And he wasn't taking it seriously, and there was a moment I was thinking about snapping them, but I didn't. I was just like, yeah, that's right. And I walked away thinking I got the best of him. And it was rare to ever see Megan mad at me, but this was a case when she was actually really mad at me. She came up to me after school and said, Eddie, what did you say to Adam? I just reminded him who he was taking to the prom. He said you threatened him. This is my life, Eddie. You got to stay out of it. And I kind of thought about that for a second. No, I'm not going to. There's no way I'm doing that. She's my little sister. And of course I was right. He was a dick and he ditched her at the dance, so maybe she should listen to me more. After high school, we both made the genius decision to leave Southern California. I went to Central Pennsylvania, and she went to Dallas, Texas. We kind of had similar college experiences. She had other suitors. I just had to use my internet stalking skills to threaten them on Facebook instead. But we remained very close. But now that we're graduated, I find it a little bit harder to sort of keep up with her and know exactly what she's up to, and that's hard because I feel like once you graduate, you start making more serious decisions. It's career and relationship and all this stuff. And I also feel like we're growing a little differently too. Since I moved to DC, I bought a fixed gear bike. I started dating a Jewish girl who works for a nonprofit, and half of her friends are gays, so I feel like I'm really living in DC now. And Megan's in Dallas, and she's trying to meet guys at church, and she's talking about her friends' concealed carry permits. She told me how impressed she was with Paul Ryan's marathon time, and she can think whatever she wants, but I was kind of starting to get a little worried about her, the bleeding heart liberal in me, I guess. But I also want to make sure that she had good influences in her life, that she had people around her who could be influencing these bigger decisions she was going to have to be making. A few weeks ago, I went down to Dallas just to hang out with her, just to see what her life is like, not a vacation, and we had an awesome time. We went and saw live country music. We stood in line for like an hour and a half to eat barbecue. By the end of that trip, I was so full of Shiner Bock and pork, it was ridiculous. I'm not Jewish. We went to the George W. Bush Library, which for me was a little bit like going into the comment section of a CNN comment. I did it entirely just to be outraged. And we disagreed on some of the facts, but ultimately I felt like the trip was going really well. And like any weekend like this does, it ended with brunch, and it was me and my sister and like 6 girls. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to get to know some of her friends a little bit better. I thought it'd be casual conversation, but these girls were just going straight at it. I remember one girl started by saying, I think when you look at all the facts, it's really pretty clear we didn't go to the moon. That was just a staged government conspiracy. Just kind of gripping the table and, all right, we can get through this. The same girl says, my husband and I keep loaded guns under our bed because we need to protect our children when it matters. At this point, I'm just chugging my mimosa. It's just like, it's mostly orange juice and the acid's eating a hole in my stomach, and I'm thinking, this can't go any worse. And then she says, I think it's fine that I'm a science teacher and I don't believe in evolution. I mean, it doesn't say any of that stuff in the Bible. At this point, my face must be absolutely bright red. I was furious, but I wasn't gonna say anything. I look over at Megan, and she wasn't doing anything. She was just eating her breakfast tacos, not reacting, and I started to really get worried about her. Like, are these the kind of people who are influencing her decisions? Are these the people that she looks up to? Does she believe this stuff? I didn't know what to do. As we were leaving brunch, I started trying to collect my thoughts. How can I do this civilly? What can you say to your little sister? Make sure she still, listens to you and have good influences. And before I can do any of that, she just looks at me and says, Eddie, those people are fucking crazy. And at that moment, I know that I didn't have to look after my little sister anymore. Maybe I never did, but it's not going to stop me from trying. Thanks.